Now, you may have noticed recently a lot of my review videos are around 5 or 6 minutes long. In fact, I think the longest videos I make these days are maybe 9 or 10 minutes long. And there's a very, very good reason for that. I'm just trying to cut out all the waffle. I think I can show you enough of a watch and tell you enough about a watch in that sort of time frame for you to then be able to decide if a watch is suitable for you or not. But I'm going to do things a little bit different in today's video, because this is one of those watches that, well, when it turned up, I was so mesmerized by it, I went immediately into my office, I started filming this watch, and honestly, I spent a whole day taking shots of this watch. I was just mesmerized by it. So for this particular video, I'm going to intentionally waffle so that I've got plenty of time to show you all the pictures and the videos that I took of this watch, because, well, I think it deserves it. There's so much going on with this watch, not just to look at, but to talk about. I think there's two main selling points when it comes to this watch: the dial and perhaps the movement. Those are two fairly unique selling points, actually. So of course I'm going to focus on those two areas. There's also a really interesting sort of backstory to this watch, marketing if you like, and I would only butcher that explanation if I was to try and explain to you using all the Venetian words, which I'm going to butcher. So if you are interested in why Venezian Eco, see, I've butchered that already, why Venezian Eco have designed this watch, head over to their website. There's a link in my video description. It's not an affiliate link, it just takes you to their website, and there is a detailed explanation on there. But in this video, I want to focus on the dial and the movement, and of course the rest of the watch, the specifications, the case, the strap options, all that sort of stuff. Now, I think we need to talk about the dial first, because that is, without doubt, the most interesting thing about this watch. It's a layered dial, not just a couple of layers. They're saying it's a 4-layered dial. There are certainly lots of different elements to look at and focus on when it comes to this dial. Well, you could argue that the dial is actually the mother of pearl circle, off center, closer to the 3 o'clock. But the rest of the dial, if you like, is also very intricate and interesting and has a good mix of materials. Let's start with the sky, the starry sky, aventurine. That's what it's designed to depict, a sort of starry night sky, and then you've got some rhodium plated circles with a sort of satin finish. They are designed to depict fireworks going off. Yeah, pretty cool. Not seen anything like that before. And then you've got some buildings, again rhodium plated. Those are hovering above everything else. There's a real depth to this dial, obviously. Then on the right hand side, you've obviously got the mother of pearl dial, which is framed with a polished ring. Again, some depth to that. The hands have to sit quite high because they have to go over the elevated element of the sort of floating section. I'm not doing a particularly good job of describing it. That's why I spent a whole day filming it, so I didn't have to describe it. Just look at it. The hands are nice. Got an applied logo on the dial, some little markers around the edge. The colours within the mother of pearl dial are gorgeous, so bright. Of course, every watch is going to be slightly different when it comes to the mother of pearl dial, but this one looks really good. Aventurine, obviously lots of light play there, some light play with the hands, light play with that ring around the mother of pearl dial, and of course that applied logo. So a mix of reflective polished surfaces, and then you've got some matte and sort of satin finished areas that are rhodium plated. It's, yeah, well, there's just a lot to look at, isn't there? And the colours are incredible. And then you've got some sapphire crystal on top of that with a fairly strong blue AR coating, so there's a little bit of light play and colour from the crystal. The case is polished, well, a little bit of brushing, a little bit of a sort of matte finish when it comes to the crown. The case is actually quite simple. I guess they want you to be focusing on the dial, and why not? You're not going to produce a dial like this and then make a really intricate, complicated and eye-catching case, are you? So I think the case is doing exactly what it needs to. It's just holding it all together and putting it on your wrist, isn't it? And then there's a strap They've sent me the watch on a very nice Italian leather strap. It's blue, it colour matches the dial nicely, and it sort of looks like, to some degree, at certain angles, that the strap runs through the case and through the dial. Of course, because that building seems on the left, it seems to sort of line up with the left-hand side of the strap. But they are offering this watch on a stainless steel bracelet, an H-link bracelet with a mix of polished and brushed links, an extra €85 for the bracelet version. I think that would be worth the extra money for sure. Their bracelets are incredible. And actually their finishing in general is very, very good. I've not encountered any issues with the finishing. I've zoomed right into this dial. I'm not seeing any dust or debris or any imperfections under the crystal. So yeah, not a huge amount of finishing to judge when it comes to the case, but yeah, overall the watch does look to be beautifully finished. In fact, if you open up the case back, now I'm going to start talking about the movement. If you take the case back off, you'll see they've even gone to the trouble of decorating around the movement, and I think that's a really, really good choice because the movement is a small NH05, and actually it's a cracking little movement. They weren't blessed with options when it came to deciding what movement to put inside this watch. Of course, they would have needed a small movement like this in order to get the hands over off center, and this is actually the movement that featured in the Halcyon watches I reviewed recently with the porcelain dials. This movement actually finds its way into rather expensive watches because manufacturers and watchmakers aren't blessed with a lot of options when it comes to automatic movements like this. And this one is an NH movement, so 21,600 beats per hour, hacks hand winds, 50 hours of power reserve. I was surprised by that tiny little movement, but yeah, a reliable Seiko movement. And of course, with this watch, you're paying the money predominantly for the dial, aren't you, really? The design, the execution, the brand, all that sort of stuff. And the price is €700, which is a very reasonable price for a watch with this much detail. Obviously, you're going to pay a little bit more, €85 more for the watch on the stainless steel bracelet, and actually I think it would be worth paying the extra for the watch on the bracelet I should say. The strap that it's come with is nice enough. Italian leather strap, it suits the watch really, really nicely. Beautifully polished and finished buckles signed. Yeah, the strap is unoffensive, but well, if you've ever got the option to buy a watch on a bracelet, as long as it's not a ridiculous amount of money, I always think it's worth buying watches on bracelets, and the bracelet in the limited picture, well, the one picture that I've seen, looks pretty good. The case back's nice enough. It's screwed down. It's not a screw down case back. There's some detail on there, lots of detail, obviously. Yeah, I'll put some specifications, dimensions and all that sort of stuff on the screen as I'm waffling along. But the watch is actually a reasonable size, 40 millimeters, less than 12 millimeters thick. Good dimensions, good proportions. So not just an interesting dial, but a well-proportioned, good-looking watch. So I think I've probably waffled on enough for me to show you the majority of the footage that I took of this watch, and yeah, now I'm curious to know what you guys think of it. Of course, it's not going to be the sort of watch that appeals to the masses, and at €785 with that bracelet, or €700 with it on the leather strap, it's not going to be the most affordable watch, but there's no denying they have once again designed and executed beautifully a really interesting and just beautiful watch, haven't they? Everything they produce just seems to pop and shine and have so much colour. They make it too easy to film these watches. It's just so easy to get these watches to look like this in the footage because of the materials that they use. So I think you have to give them a lot of credit, guys. Let me know what you think of this gorgeous, fascinating and interesting watch from Venetian Eco. No doubt you'll let me know how much I've butchered the name of the brand. That's always a given when I review their watches, but yeah. I'm also curious to know what you think of the dial and the watch. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. I do appreciate it.